Okay, RC here. Um, Global War 36 version 3. We played the 36 version. So this game is now over. I've had it sit on my table for 2 months with the quarantine and the lockdown and all that other fun stuff. I haven't had anybody over in a long time, so I figured, well, I'm going to clean this room up, and yeah, in order to do that, I might as well do a quick video, give you a synopsis of what we found. So we had a 3-player game. I was playing as the Comintern, and I had one player as the Axis, and then another player as the Allies. And let's just give her a quick rundown. I'm on this side of the map, so let's start here. So it was kind of a crazy game. The Japanese decided to bypass China, since China was busy fighting itself. The CCP and the was busy there. So while they were doing that, the Chinese took the Dutch holdings. Then they swooped in and took most of Australia, after they also hit and took basically everything you see here that's not Allies was Japanese. So the Japanese only, or these guys only had, I think, the island, and they've progressed since. So the Japanese were doing really well, but then the Americans came in and had an America first, or kill Japan first strategy, so that kind of affected things. As a result, here you can see in Australia that the Australians had a little bit of a navy that the Americans kept feeding them units for, and this is what's left of the American Navy after having wiped out most of the Japanese Navy. The reason they were able to do that is the Russians agreed to take over the blockading of the Japanese. Currently, it was no longer required since they didn't have any other income, so that's ended. We have the bright red Chinese and the burgundy red Russians on the map here, so they've got a substantial navy. They're about to drop 10 advanced transports in there with the 2 they already have. So they would have been then able to drop 12 tanks and 12 infantry a turn. And yeah, Japan would not have been able to handle that. As you can see, the Americans had already taken over and they built some factories, but they just couldn't sustain this anymore because there was too much pressure by the Germans and the Italians without the American presence. So let's see what happened here. So obviously the CCP took over. I had a misprint in roundels, so I made these what do you call it here? Mongolian roundels. So that's the CCP as well. Anyway, the Communist Chinese have a current income of $34 off the map, plus whatever bonuses they have. The Japanese are down to 11. So that's the big swing on this side. Yeah, as you can see, they've obviously evolved into a major power. Never done that before. That was quite interesting. I wasted a lot of time and energy on that, and my Russian strategy was to just keep both sides as equal as possible until it was built up enough to do whatever I wanted. And there we are. There's a rather substantial navy here as well. And by the way, all the aircraft on these are jet fighters, so you have another additional 6 attack transports and your classic landing party sitting here that can go off and do whatever I want to do. I'm currently only at war with the Japanese. Russia hasn't, or Germany has not declared war, neither has Italy, but they're a little bit busy. I'll show you why. The British had a factory here and the Germans took that from them. The Italians managed to take this location here, and with I think 2 full fleet losses, the Japanese and the Germans managed to successfully eliminate the British. Over here in the Mediterranean, the Navy. So the British had spent a lot of time and effort down here. They've got a medium and a small factory, and they've been pumping out units which have been trying to fight down here. So that's been their big tail. The Italians own everything in the Med here, including Gibraltar, which they took with their naval advantage since the Americans were overly involved on the Japanese Pacific. So there's not much else to show you here. The Russians own this. Early in the game, before they did the Japanese thing, the Americans had come in here and built 4 medium factories here in Spain, and they were starting to do fairly well. But they just had a couple of turns where their transport shuck had a hiccup in it as they were trying to finish off these factories, and Germany managed to capitalize and take Spain from them. So that's what turned Gibraltar for that. And when that happened, the Americans then went into full build mode on the Japanese. It is what it is. So let's see, where do we sit now? The Germans have an income of 66, and the Italians have an income of 15. Both of them without bonuses. The British are at 17. The French don't exist at all. And yeah, the Australians are at full income. FEC's at 2. So there's not much going on. Russia's at 58. And the Americans are at 67. So it's kind of a weird... My job as Russia has been to try and play both sides against each other to keep things as equal as possible so that I could stay out of the battle until I was ready myself. All right, so what's going on with the navies over here? Well, just this last turn, there was a large Italian navy. There was a German invasion on the island up in the north. No invasions happened in London because all the units on that card there, I think there's like 20 some units and 4 strategic rockets over there. So they're yeah, it was just too many units for the Germans. So they took Scotland and northern England. I'm not sure what that's called on the map now. This is what's left of the British fleet after the Germans came out and did that. The British attacked the German fleet and sank that. Then the Italian fleet came out and attacked the British fleet, and all they have left is 4 damaged capital ships there. So things did not go so well for the Allies. There's been an exchange of damage, which is signified by the orange chips underneath these factories here, by both the 4 rockets that are based out of London, and then the what do we got there? 3, 4, 5, 6 rockets the Germans have. They've been just pummeling this, which is the whole reason that South Africa has been the main point that the British have been fighting from, as well as a transport shuck from Canada's major factory. All right, so been a busy, weird game. It happens when you have, Russia staying out of it. Germany didn't attack Russia in time so Russia had too many units. And at that point in time, they were busy with an American invasion in Spain. And I considered attacking the Germans at that point in time, but I was just waiting for the Allies to get a good enough foothold, and then there was a failure in the shuck over here to Spain, so that allowed the Germans to take the factories, and at which point the Allied had to build a whole new landing force and get it all started again. So until that was established, I was not going to be the only one fighting the Axis that have the entire continent otherwise. And they were very busy So that, me not attacking them allowed them to take the Med and buy a lot of Navy. So as they built Navy, I built Navy as Russia, and you can see that I think Russia's got the equivalent of the American Navy and British combined on the board at the moment. Never seen that before. It was quite interesting. All right, so just doing a quick flyby. There's not much. I've had a cat on here. That's, my name speaks for itself. That's why it's Ranks Cat Bombs. My cats keep bombing my table. So yeah, not much else to show here. There's a ton of technology became a problem for us in this game, and that's quite apparent with the technology board, which I'm about to show you here. Just give me a moment to rotate over. Let's go over the income here first. I just gotta watch my step. I got a cat on the floor there. All right, so the FAC is down to 2. What do we have here? Vichy France has got 4. Australia is at 7. The Dutch income for the British is at 10. Japanese are at 11. Italy's at 15. The UK British is at 17. So that's basically everything in Africa, North America, and Europe. And then we have the Chinese at 34. The Russians at 58. The Germans at 66. And the Americans at 67. So yeah, it's been quite busy. Now, I started having problems in here where I can't remember who the Dutch roundel stands for. We had to start. I got 10 of each, and I was running out. Like, as you can tell, with the factories giving you a tech roll every turn. By the end of the game, it got kind of ridiculous. So, as Russia, I just stopped rolling for tech because, like, do I really need advanced anti-submarine warfare? Not really. I got no convoy zones. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's been busy. As you can see, everybody's going for the attack transports. They're handy. Improved construction, I think everybody's got it. China's almost got it. China's got the wartime economy along with everybody else. Improved factories, I'm believing we got everybody in there. Yeah, that's the Germans underneath. Oh. So that's kind of crazy. I'm using Canadian symbols for the British because they just don't have enough roundels. I think these Dutch symbols are actually what I'm using for the Russians because I just ran out. It's pretty sad. Anyhow, so yeah, as you can see, like, there's tons of tech on this board. Almost everybody's got quite a bit of it. So it's been pretty crazy. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, so that's been my first round, or first game of this. Played it. The first round I played, we had the original $4 strategic rockets. They were just too cheap. It was way too cheap. They've changed the rules to 6, but we house ruled this to 8 before we got notice that the rule had changed to 6 as the cost for these tech. And with the range of 3 and the ability to move at 8, they were like, once Germany had 4 of them, they could blast these 2 factories twice every turn, and Britain just couldn't keep up with financing. So yeah, Britain was pretty much done over here, which forced them to have to do a transport shuck from here and spend a lot of money in South Africa. So it was actually not a horrible thing. Oh man, I got way too much Russian fleet off the side. I got enough Russian fleet. What have I got? 2 advanced battleships. Oh jeez. Anyway, it's a crazy game for Russia. I just don't know. This is not normally something that our group would allow to happen, but we were kind of playing with the rules a little bit, trying to see what was possible. The Japanese player allowed me to see what was going on with China. So, and they probably were going to kill China next, except for the Americans decided to go all in on them. So yeah, that's the game. Kind of crazy. If you add up the points, nobody's really winning. The Axis are losing on this side, but the Allies aren't really winning. The Russians are. On this side here, I'd say the Axis are winning, except for they're in a rough spot with what the Americans are sending, but they haven't started to make their purchases yet here either. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, and they got a lot of money. It's crazy. The Axis on this side makes the same amount of money as the Americans and the British combined. So actually, I think they make more with their bonuses. So we'll see what's going there. And obviously, the Russians have run out of fronts. The main reason why there was never a major battle between the Russians and the Germans is it's temporarily a little bit messed up right now. The Germans have been maintaining a substantial army here, another one here. They're keeping quite a bit on this side here. They had a substantial army in here, another one over here. And yeah, the Russians in turn were building substantial stacks up here, over there, and up in Leningrad and Moscow. So neither one of us had a good, easy run at either of us, and we already had bigger fronts that were going on, or not enough help on the other side of the front to attack each other. So that never happened. Anyway, so there you go. That was a rundown of our second game. We liked it overall. We skipped the terrain rules because we just wanted to do a quick run through for fun. And it saved us probably about 8 hours of our lives. I like the terrain rules, but they do kind of bog things down a little bit, especially in Southern Europe and the deserts and all the mountains in China. It kind of slows down everybody's movement. So we just skipped the terrain rules for this game, so we didn't apply any rivers or mountains or deserts. All right, so we just want to get a flavor of the game as it was, and in some ways that actually made it easier for the attackers and harder on the defenders. So do notice that was a change. Yeah, not sure what else to say. Yeah, I guess that's it. So didn't have any other real insights. It's basically very similar to the version 2 game. They've tweaked a bunch of the rules. I'm not going to give any opinions on a lot of the rules. I haven't fully read through the latest iteration of the rule book, and I think that's been part of the reason I haven't been playing as much. Is just wanted some finalized rules to finally show up with non-ambiguous wording. All right, so hopefully that's all done. And yeah, this was a good game. Enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I'll leave it there.